see that fantasy point line too.
16.5 fantasy
Yeah.
points.
16.5.
More.
Yeah, exactly.
That is a more for me on the fantasy points. That's the contest I'd be looking to play with Monday Night Lenny.
Welcome to Monkey Knife Fights Monday Night Football show, folks. I'm Connor Rowntree. That's Joe Dolan. It's Giants. It's Buccaneers. And Joe, I guess we got to kind of talk about another wild weekend in the NFL before we get into Monday Night Football. What was your big takeaway from Sunday?
The whole thing is like, what? Nobody is good, right? I mean, it's just like, I mean, what happened to the Buffalo Bills was really shocking, and it almost kind of like justifies us fantasy guys, because like every fantasy player in the world at the beginning of the season is yelling, why is Marlon Mack getting carries and why is Carson Wentz dropping back 40 times? And then they bench Marlon Mack. Carson Wentz drops back 20 times, and they kick the Bills' ass. Like, it almost justifies everything that we've been saying. Like, they give the ball to Jonathan Taylor. But the Bills, there's just something that's not working here. And I always liken this to what Brandon Staley, like that comment Brandon Staley made. I'm sorry, my dogs are like slamming around. I don't know what the hell they're doing. They're like slamming my door and stuff. Like, it sounds like there's a pack of velociraptors out back, but no, they're going outside now. But so I likened that comment that Brandon Staley, the Chargers head coach, made earlier this year. And I'm going to be talking, I think we're going to be talking about this a whole lot, where he's like, yes, we understand that throwing the ball is the most efficient way to play football in the modern NFL. But, and I'm paraphrasing here, at some point you need to punch somebody in the mouth. The Bills just utterly, and like seriously, with the run game, you need to punch somebody. The Bills utterly lack the ability to punch somebody in the mouth with the run game. And there's offensive line injuries. They don't have a back they trust, but it's all on Allen, and Allen isn't playing as sharp as he played last year. It was just a bad game. Another takeaway is the Dallas Cowboys have had complete stinkers in 2 of their last 3 games. So the question now becomes, who is good? Who are the real? Tennessee loses to Houston,
That one was weird.
All of a sudden, you're sitting here on Monday, week 12 of the coming week 12, and who wants to play Kansas City?
Yeah.
All of a sudden now, look, they scored 19 points. Dallas's defense played well, but that's the Rams are coming off 2 losses and a bye. The Cardinals are getting Kyler Murray back. Who knows? I mean, I honestly don't know. I don't know if I'd bet against Kansas City right now. I really don't. Like, I cannot believe that's where we are. But after the way we were talking 3 weeks ago,
Yeah, no, I think you hit the nail on the head there with Arizona and the fact that Murray, again, another week off. They have the bye week heading into this coming weekend. So they're going to at least be fresh once they hit the field again. And obviously they'll have Murray back in the lineup, or they should have Murray back. They should have D-Hop back. So obviously a huge team to look out for. Vikings, they got it done too. That's probably the best 500 win. Yeah, that was the best 500 win, or pulling a team to 500 I think I've ever seen. That was awesome. And it looked like Aaron Rodgers doing his
Rodgers
thing.
Was incredible, by the way.
That game. Yeah, that was an impressive performance. Definitely a fun game to watch. But Monday Night Football, baby. All NFC showdown. Tom Brady versus the New York Giants. One thing that we did note coming on air, I mean, it is Tom Brady, but against the Giants, he's, dare I say, average. Like 3-3 record.
Yeah. The Buccaneers coming off a crappy loss to the team. I'm not betting against the Bucks tonight. Let's put it that way. I'm not betting against the Bucks tonight. I know the team is a little feisty right now, but I'm not betting against the Bucks tonight. We got Mike Evans. I mean, no Antonio Brown, Godwin, Gronk might be back.
Saquon is expected to play too. I'm not sure if that's
Saquon's going to play for the Giants. This one, the 295.5.
It's tough.
Ooh.
The Giants ranked top 10 in passing yards given up this season coming into tonight. Obviously, there were a bunch of games yesterday, so that line's a bit skewed. But I think I'm going to take more on Tom Brady just because of the performance that you noted against Washington last week. The Bucks need to come out. They need to get a win. Brady this season at home, he's 4-0 with 18 touchdown passes to just 2 picks. Really finding himself. And then you said the name, right? I think Mike Evans is going to go off. And historically against the Giants, he has 116, averaging 116 receiving yards per game with 6 touchdowns in 5 career games. So it's definitely a good matchup historically for Mike Evans. And I think if Brady wants to go out there and do his thing on home field, I think he's going to be more than able to do that. And I think if it comes down to a possession game, I understand that, yes, the Giants with Barkley in the lineup, they're averaging right around 380 yards per game. Without him in the lineup, they're averaging around 270. So you would expect them to get an extra 100 yards or so from scrimmage with Barkley in the lineup. But remember, this defensive front on Tampa Bay is pretty ferocious. So I don't know if it's the best game per se to have Saquon coming back if you're a fan of the Giants here. So I'll take the more on the Brady line. I think there's a lot going for the Bucks in possession time, and just from what I've seen from this sputtering Giants offense.
I'm going to take the less on Brady. I just think this line's a little too high. The Giants did a great job on Derek Carr and Patrick Mahomes defensively. I'm going to take the less. I don't feel great about that, but I am going to take the less. Daniel Jones is pretty tough because I don't know how they're going to use these players, but Kenny Golladay, Kadarius Toney should be healthy coming out of the bye. Obviously, you get Saquon back, and while the Bucs have been a tough run defense this year, they're actually giving up 7.1 catches per game to running backs, which is second most in the league. So obviously, and from a fantasy perspective, I don't give a crap if Saquon runs for 23 yards if he catches 8 passes. So I'm wondering, Daniel Jones, I'm going to lean to the more. And I just think it's because it's a tiny bit too low, and I think Brady's is a tiny bit too high. But I'll be completely frank, Connor, I don't have a great feeling about either one of those.
Yeah, I think the Brady one is a little high. It's more just the momentum that I'm seeing. He had 400 yards a few weeks ago, 297, 300, obviously through 220, but in there as well. I just feel like Tom Brady, after coming off a loss, something needs to be done. They're at home. I mentioned his record at home and how well he's been playing this season. I think it's just an uptick in his performance, and he goes out and really puts an exclamation mark. And as you said, to your point at coming on to the show, who's good? Well, Tom Brady can go out there tonight, put on another good performance. Yes, it's against the Giants, but you could really boost the Bucs into that top 5 power rankings in the NFL with a decent performance tonight. And for Danny Jones, I'm with you on the more too, as I think it's just going to be a passing game. And actually, you kind of took the words right out of my mouth. If Saquon Barkley is going to get involved, I think it's going to be as a receiver, if anything, due to that front. So I do like the more on Danny Dimes as well. I think it's a high number. Obviously, if you look at Daniel Jones, he hasn't gone over that number since, I believe, week 6 in passing yards, where he threw for 242. So it's a high line for Danny Dimes, pardon me. But in a matchup where you're going to have to throw the football, you're going to have Saquon running those flares out of the backfield. You best use them, and I think he will.
Yeah, I think Saquon, and that's where Devontae Booker had actually been making his hay recently, was in the passing game. Jones checking down. Now the question becomes, does he rely on as many checkdowns because you've got Golladay and Toney ostensibly healthy? Before the Giants bye, Daniel Jones threw 20 passes against the Raiders. 5 of them were directed at wide receivers. So, I mean, that was a really condensed passing game, but you presume that these things are going to be a little bit more open up, and they're going to have to be more open up against the Buccaneers, I think, for them to compete in this one.
Yeah, to have any success whatsoever. I totally agree with you there, Joe. Let's talk about Chris Godwin now. Obviously, you said no Antonio Brown. I think Mike Evans is the go-to receiver in this one. Obviously, I talked about Mike Evans' prowess against this Giants team and what he's been able to do. But still, Chris Godwin at 6.5 receptions. I think the reception line's a little high. I can't get, knowing that Gronk could be back. Brady's been spreading the ball out nicely. I think anywhere 5-6 receptions is nice. I just don't want to push to that more. 7 receptions is a lot for me.
So here's where I'm going to say more.
Nice.
And I know it's hot, but Giants 2 weeks ago give up 7 catches to Hunter Renfrow, who's a predominant slot receiver. The Giants are giving up the 7th most catches per game to wide receivers. So the receptions I like for Godwin. I'm not sure about his receiving yards, which is 71.5. But the 7 receptions I think he can hit. He's hit 7 receptions in 4 of his last 5 games.
Yeah, and three consecutive games out, right? So it's definitely doable. I just feel like, to be honest with you, it's going to be a Mike Evans kind of show. And when Brady locks into one of those guys, we see it. Antonio Brown has a big game. Evans has a big game. So it's just, he kind of picks a guy. Yes, he's great at spreading the ball around, but I'm just going to have to take the less on Godwin because I feel like it's going to be more of a Mike Evans showing. And that's all, folks. If you'd like the more on Godwin, like Joe, it completely makes sense. As we said, the numbers completely back it up. Leonard Fournette, 65.5 on the ground. Yeah, I'll take that. I'll take the more on that.
He's a bell cow right now. Ronald Jones played 1 snap last week, more for Leonard Fournette.
Yeah, I'll take the more on that.
I'd like to see like a fantasy points on him because he's doing so well as a receiver that like it kind of he can have a huge game without the rushing yards, but the more for Leonard Fournette I like here. And I also like the more on Mike Evans as well because he's one of those guys, Connor, he can do this in 3 catches.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say too. I think you have to take the more on Mike Evans because he's been that deep shot, massive guy. I believe he's 6'4", 6'5", depending on what website you're looking at. So obviously a huge frame for Brady down those sidelines. And he's been doing it against the Giants before. I'm kind of beating the dead horse at this point with that narrative, but give me the more on that. And as for Leonard Fournette, yeah, I'd love to see that fantasy point
16.5 fantasy points.
Yeah.
More.
Yeah, exactly.
That is a more for me on the fantasy points. That's the contest I'd be looking to play with Monday Night Lenny.
It's the second Billy Idol reference that has been made between you two. You each have a Billy Idol reference throughout the year on this show.
Yeah, well, always ready for a good white wedding. Yeah, I mean, there's just rushing touchdowns in his last 5 games. So I think Leonard Fournette, he'll probably find some pay dirt tonight and get you at least 6 of those fantasy points in one shot.
Connor,
Now,
Joe, if you don't mind, Joe, didn't you have a thing about Leonard Fournette's nicknames?
there's probably 10 million.
Was it you on Twitter who was talking about how there's no good like?
Oh yeah. It's just like Leonard Fournette. You have the laziest nickname. It's just like, all right, it's week 11, so it's week 11 Lenny. It's just like it's regular season Lenny. You can just name anything and call him Lenny, and he's Lenny.
What was his actual
Monday night Lenny?
That's Monday Night Lenny.
No, you're talking about Chris Godwin.
Oh,
Chris Godwin's real name is Rod Godwin.
Yeah, we had that talk last week.
What a name!
gotcha. Okay. Now, thank you for catching me up. Appreciate both of you.
If anything happens, if there's a lockout or anything, or if he gets COVID, he could always pull up his own OnlyFans account because he's got the name.
Rod Godwin, yeah. So, hey, we got labor peace for like another 10 years, I think. So,
yeah. Saquon Barkley now. Sorry, guys. Joe, you absolutely kill me whenever we go on air together. It's hilarious. And the best part is that you stay composed and I just completely break down. Anyway, Saquon Barkley, 55.5. That seems a little low for him. But if we look at it this season, when he's been healthy, he's only gone up and above that just once. And again, he's a little banged up. And I think that Joe and I kind of alluded to it, that he's going to be more used in the receiving role coming out of the backfield. Joe really broke it down and hit it with the numbers. And then from what I've seen, it really is the way that Saquon Barkley is most effective is getting him the ball out in space, getting somebody to miss a tackle, and boom. So I'll take the more or I'll take the less, pardon me, on the rushing yards. But if there was a cheeky receiving line in there, that would definitely be fun.
Well, 15.5 fantasy points, which I mean, in theory, he could do entirely as a receiver.
Yeah, I mean, 15.5, I like it.
Maybe I'm just a little excited to get Saquon back because I have him on an NFFC primetime team that currently ranks top 10 overall in the contest. And we've done it without Saquon for most of the year. But yeah, I'm gonna take the less on the rushing yards. I want to see him get it done as a receiver. And MKF is PPR, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Right. 1 point per reception.
Yes. So, I kind of like the fantasy points. I think I might be playing the fantasy points contest tonight because
take a look over on the.
We can pull those up actually if we want to. Hold
on.
If
let's do it. We'll run quickly through the fantasy points before we get out of here, folks, because obviously Joe Dolan, fantasy, that's what he does. Yeah. The guy's a gosh darn guru out there. The guy's a wizard. Fantasy wizard.
One had Saquon in it, and I think it had you don't even have to get all of them. Let me find it.
We're just going through them.
All right, here we go. Found it. It's a 3.6 extra buy-in though. It's not bad.
Yeah, 3.6 times your buy-in, folks. $100, and you're walking home tonight with $360. Simple math there. This is looking nice. Let's talk about Barkley first. Yeah, I'd like the more on that. A point per every reception. A touchdown. You're gonna get the 6 points. And I think if they're going to have much offense, it's going to be coming and running through Saquon Barkley or passing through Saquon Barkley, if you will. So I'll take the more on that.
Yeah, and like the thing with Godwin is, here's where the way I look with Godwin with the 17.5. This could end up looking stupid if he catches 9 passes for 90 yards. But I almost feel like, based on the way he's been playing, this is almost a does Chris Godwin score a touchdown line. Because he could catch 7 passes for 65 yards as well. I think I'm going to lean to the more on Godwin, but that one makes me think quite a bit because he could go more than his catch prop and still not hit the 17.5, based on if the Giants are basically limit him to short catches. That one's a little tougher than the Saquon one for me, I think.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think both the running backs are a good clear cut with the fantasy points, and then I'm gonna actually lean towards the less on Godwin than the fantasy points, just because.
Yeah, you didn't even think he'd get the 7 catches, so.
Yeah, I think 7 catches. I think 5-6 catches is really his sweet spot because I actually do respect the Giants defense, maybe a little too much. But I think Mike Evans is going to be the guy tonight. And then just any notes on Gronk, Joe, before we get out of here, if Gronk is back in the lineup, where do you think his projected receptions would be? And just because he's Gronk, do you think he can get another touchdown?
Oh, I'm sure he can. I mean, I would set it at 3.5.
Wow, that's exactly what the line is.
According to what I'm seeing that's here. Where you got to set it. Yeah. So do you like the more or the less on the 3.5 reception line for Rob Gronkowski? More. I think he gets to 4.
I think one more line for you guys too.
One more fun line.
Tom Brady is 110 completions away from passing Drew Brees for most completions all time tonight. More or less than 110.5 completions for Tom Brady.
Take the less.
He'll try to get more, but I'll take the less.
Yeah, I didn't even have a funny it just came up, and that was such an egregiously high number. I was like, can I do some kind of goat joke with this one? Can he graze the Giants? Is there some sort of old Greek innuendo I'm missing here? Send him to the river Styx or something? I don't know. But hey, we'll take the less on the 110 completions from Tom Brady. Joe, any final thoughts for Monday Night Football?
I'm going to watch the Manning cast because I'm sure it's going to be fun, even though some of the guests are a little strange tonight.
Yeah, it's. I think for the Manning cast, it's a bit of a Squid Night guest game, but I think it'll always be entertaining. The Manning cast has actually got me fun. I think my favorite Manning cast moment this season was Eli's just disgusted. His just plain grotesqueness towards Peyton's eating speed was just too funny for me.
Hey, as somebody who has had to shove food in my mouth in a radio break, I totally sympathize with Peyton. So, all
right, final score.
I've definitely done that.
Final scores for tonight's game, Joe.
31-20 Buccaneers.
Yeah.
They're going to cover by half a point?
I didn't even realize what the line was.
10.5.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah, all right. Yeah, 31-20 Bucks.
Yeah, I like 28-14. I got the Bucks to cover as well. I just think they're a better team at home field and probably the premium team at home field this season, right? 4-0. Tom Brady, 18 touchdowns to 2 interceptions. Let's see him put on another show tonight. Joe Dolan, everybody, thank you so much for joining us again here on Monkey Knife Fight. You can give him a follow, folks, at FG_Dolan. I'm Connor Rowntree, and remember to hit it hard.